Nicely done.
There, got the pronunciation from Ruben Bressler. And he's apparently an Athens player, and he's playing Athens Blue, also known as Energy Field Control. It's mono blue with energy fields. He's got 3 Vendilion Click, 3 Trinket Mage. That's his creature suite. He's got 4 copies of energy fields. Got Back to Basics, Counterspell, Spell Snare, Vidalcan Shackles, one of my favorite cards of all time, Sensei's Divining Top, and interesting inclusion for this week, and I had Chris Cronenberger actually mention this to me earlier because he's also playing this list. Devastation Tide, a miracle of his own.
So we have like the full suite of miracles.
With miracles, yeah.
I've got 3 Entreating Angels, 4 Terminus, and 3 Temporal Masters over here.
Yeah, much more miraculous on the left side of the screen.
And you've got 2 Devastation Tides over there.
Yeah. No Bonfire of the Damned.
Together,
what are these guys thinking?
Together, these guys make up Alexander Hayne.
They do, yeah.
We make them one.
Not quite Captain Planet, but almost.
So this is going to be, Michael's deck is, a blue-white control deck. It's very slow, very grindy. That's the kind of Magic he likes to play. Likes to play control decks. And Piper's deck is also very slow, very grindy. So this is going to be...
This could be interesting.
This is going to be a long match.
Like I said, I talked to Chris Cronenberger earlier. Cronenberger, if you recognize the name, he actually won Star City Louisville, I believe, last fall with this, this basic deck, obviously slightly different. He said he was 3-1 when I talked to him. He lost round 1 versus Blue White Miracles, but it was some of the most fun Magic he's played in a long time, he said. So he loved the match. He lost it, but that was his only loss at the time. So,
okay.
Top for Belfatto off of an Academy Ruins.
Buckle in, guys, because this game is these games, and I say these, there's a chance we might only make it through one.
Yeah,
are going to take a while.
There's a top from Piper, so both players with a top.
And I'm really excited to see the interaction because if you look at Piper's deck, he has Sensei Top and Counterbalance in his deck, but those aren't exactly very good against Temporal Mastery and Treat the Angels or Terminus, which Terminus doesn't really have a huge effect in this matchup, but he's got some really expensive spells to dodge top Counterbalance where a lot of other decks don't. And we're going to try our best not to have too much dead time or dead air, but there's going to be a lot of top spinning. So
Belfatto spun his top. I think Piper spun his top. Just spinning some tops here. Star City Columbus.
Get the dreidels going. Interesting to see that Piper's deck only has, looks like 4 or 5 fetch lands.
Yeah, I think that's because of Energy Field.
That makes sense.
It's a strange card. You're going to build around Energy Field. You can't play a lot of cards that you normally play. Jace the Mind Sculptor being one of them. Jace the Mind Sculptor can be attacked, and Energy Field does not prevent that damage. So you have Jace and Energy Field in play. They attack your Jace, kill your Jace, goes to the graveyard, and Energy Field goes away. So Piper is trying to construct the Counterbalance lock here.
Mikey Belfatto has no interest. He's going to fight over that with a Spell Snare, and we're going to see exactly where we're going to go from here. No, it's going to be interesting to see if Piper realizes that the Counterbalance lock isn't like, game over like it is against a lot of other decks.
Yeah.
It's not that great of a lock against Mike, but we'll see if Piper knows that and decides to fight over this.
I don't even know who has the edge here because, like, what is Belfatto's win condition besides Entreat the Angels? Like,
he can rock the Entreat the Angels, or he can just Fate Seal to death with Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Okay, I forgot about the Jace not being under the Planeswalker slot. No Jace again in Piper's deck.
And while these guys are spinning their tops and checking out this Counterbalance, one card I didn't even realize was in Mike Belfatto's deck. Another miracle.
Banishing Stroke.
Banishing Stroke.
×2. Interesting. So, looks like the Counterbalance did not resolve. There, Piper spun his top, didn't see anything he could use. And so Counterbalance goes to the graveyard. Successfully countered by Belfatto's Spell Snare. Belfatto adds a plains to the board. We've just got a bunch of lands and Sensei tops. And some draw go happening. I see Piper has Vidalcan's Shackles in hand. Again, not a very good card for this matchup.
Yeah, it really isn't.
I'll steal one of your angels that you've entreated, maybe? I mean,
it's so
that
good
could come up.
It's so good against some other decks, but in this particular matchup, like you said, there's angels to take and literally nothing else. It's gonna be strange. I feel like this matchup's gonna come down to Jace the Mind Sculptor.
That's what I'm thinking about, because Piper can fight the energy field, not energy fields, the entreat the angels with energy fields, if an entreat the angels does actually resolve.
Yeah. But I'm looking at Piper's deck list, there's no Jace the Mind Sculptors there, right?
No, so he's got to fight Jace on a different kind of axis here. He's got Vendilion Clicks, Trinket Mages to maybe attack Jace, but...
Hello.
So we
have our first miracle.
Miracle. Temporal Mastery off the top. And Piper
I'm looking at...
decides he wants to play Counterspell on the Temporal Mastery.
I see these spell snares in Piper's hands and Piper's hand, and it's like, well, Temporal Mastery costs 2.
Right.
So a guy can spell snare. Not exactly.
So Wasteland from Michael Belfatto, and passes back. So Temporal Mastery did not resolve, was counterspelled.
Interesting sub-game with Wasteland in this matchup. Looking at Piper's deck, how many non-basics are in there, Joey?
Just fetch lands. That's it.
And then 17 islands.
Right, and he's got back to basics in here too, which aren't going to hurt Belfatto very, very badly either.
Yeah.
Counterbalance number 2 from Piper. Does this one resolve? It does.
So he's going to draw a card.
Yeah, Michael.
Top. Oh, baby.
Banishing Stroke. It's a miracle.
That is definitely a miracle. And Joey's bringing up the text on Vanishing Stroke because some people at home might not know exactly what that does.
Right, because it hasn't seen a lot of play yet. It sees limited play.
It does see limited play.
But it is a 6 mana instant, put target artifact, creature, or enchantment on the bottom of its owner's library. But it has a miracle cost of 1 white. So that's what Belfatto knew was there. So he goes ahead, flips the top, puts the Banishing Stroke right into play, targeting the Counterbalance, and taps his planes there to pay for it. Now Piper trying to find a 6-drop on top of his deck, which is going to be tough.
I mean, the highest Piper can go is 5 mana.
Yeah.
I mean, he has Forcible and he has Devastation tied, but there's not going to be any 6s hiding in there.
So there goes the Counterbalance, banished to the bottom of Piper's deck.
What's going to happen is there's going to be so much jockeying for position over, fighting Jace the Mind Sculptor, which I think we're going to see right now.
There's Jace. Yeah, I mean, Belfatto probably feeling very safe to cast that Jace after Piper was not able to stop the Banishing Stroke. And so Jace resolves and brainstorms for Belfatto.
It's been a little while since I've seen Jace in action.
Yeah, it does feel like it's been forever.
I haven't played with it in Standard. It got
banned a year ago.
It got banned. And it's just been a little while since I've seen Jace TMS. I mean, it's not legal in Modern, so...
Right. This is the only place you'll really see Jace besides Vintage. Can't think of anywhere else. Kitchen table, EDH kind of stuff.
Yeah, in the cube draft from time to time. It's not going to surprise you. I don't really draft blue very often in my cubes.
There's a Sensei's top from Belfatto, the same one that flipped that Banishing Stroke. Presumably, unless he's got another top in hand.
Yeah, Piper's really in a difficult spot here. He doesn't have a lot of lands. And, he's only got 3 lands. He just did find a polluted Delta to be able to shuffle away with his top and get himself another land drop. But, all of that being said, if he can't take care of Jace, Jace is going to take care of him.
Well put. I don't know that this is a great matchup for Piper.
Yeah, thinking about the decks that Piper preys on, with energy field,
right?
A lot of counter magic, Vidalcan Shackles. Yeah, it's definitely creature decks. He probably came here looking to play against Rug.
Yeah,
looking to play against Maverick, and not looking to play against a dedicated control deck like this one that doesn't even have a creature in its deck as a win condition.
And Vendilion Click from Piper here. Gonna see Counterspell from Belfatto. And looks like a fetch land from Piper. Gets an island.
So it's gonna be a Spell Snare to fight, but we're gonna see if it's going to resolve or not. Because I can't get a good look at Mike's hand. I'm pretty sure I see a Force of Will, but I'm not sure if I see a blue card.
And there's the Spell Snare. And
Yep,
Force of
there's
Will
the
blue
force.
card. So I think that successfully deals with that Vendilion Click.
Piper. I think he's going to try to hopefully draws a Force of Will off that top.
Yeah,
That's what he's thinking.
Just trying to
Yep.
play to his outs. But Vendilion Click is countered. He does not draw a counterspell off the top. In his hand, he has Energy Field and not Force of Will.
Yeah, I think the card that he drew was Vidalcan Shackles, which is fairly blank here. It may have been. No, it was just
an
an
island. Yeah. So island top, I believe. Looks like the players are starting to stretch out of bounds here.
Yeah. I mean, that, in these permanent heavy matchups and these long drawn out games, it's bound to happen.
So Piper plays top, spins top, and
there's that
sees
Force of Will he was looking for.
Yeah, there's a Force. Jeez, Force. Couldn't you have been a couple cards up?
You're a little late.
Yeah.
I'm already torn. Great karaoke song. Trust me.
Very nice.
That should be our question. Who's that song by?
Who's that song by?
Yes, sir.
That one's a little much, I think.
Joey.
Hey, it's easy, but you know, people that it's not Magic related really. So looks like a spun top here is gonna put Devastation Tide. That will deal with the Jace.
That will deal with the Jace. I mean, he did that. He did that on Michael's upkeep, so it's gonna deal with the Jace temporarily.
He has an interesting kind of play there.
Because he's gonna be able to recast it again.
He's gonna recast it, yeah. Huh. Odd. So Jace gets recast after being quote unquote devastated.
Yeah, I'm
back to Michael's hand.
Not a big fan of that particular play.
It was like he attacked Jace for 2.
Yeah, if you're gonna make that play, it's gonna have to be at the end of turn. You know, you draw a card with your top on the end step. Hopefully, Devastation Tide will put it back, and then he is able to Force the Will on the way back down. But with the way he took his turn, it doesn't really accomplish very much, as the problem is still back in play.
Yeah, so Jace divining top from Belfatto and top from Piper. So Piper's still with that just energy field in his hand, just doing pretty much nothing. Well, doing absolutely nothing.
Yeah, pretty much is being nice.
Yeah, so it's gonna spin the top. And Belfatto's gonna spin his top.
It's just been a long time since, you know, you've seen, like you said, we don't see Jace very much anymore. Got banned in Standard, not legal in Modern. It's been a long time since I think a lot of people have seen just the way that Jace is able to dominate a game. Just, you know, between brainstorming for yourself and fate sealing for the opponent. You know, once he's in play, if you don't deal with it fast, you're gonna be too far behind.
So spin to the top for Belfatto. And off the top, Temporal Mastery.
It is definitely a miracle.
It is a miracle. And we're gonna go spin the top, draw a card. It's Force of Will, which Piper knew was there.
Along with that energy field that you mentioned, that
And,
isn't.
yeah. So
It can bite the dust.
I'm gonna Force of Will your Temporal Mastery. I feel like that Temporal Mastery at this point is not much more than an Explorer. It's obviously gonna put Jace up, or give him several more activations of Jace.
Well, I agree and I disagree a little bit, just because, you know, if he starts to do the Fate Seal show, it's going to be 2 Fate Seals on Piper. It's going to put it up to 7. It's just going to quicken the clock of Jace and, you know, get this game over a little bit faster. And when you're in a control mirror like this, games typically go long. So, you know, right now to us, and probably the people at home, it looks like Michael's going to win this game.
Right.
And, you know, he's kind of drawing it out. It's going to take a lot of time. And that is a disadvantage for Piper, because Piper's going to need to win 2 games to Michael's 1 now. And with so much time being off the clock, you know, it's something that he needs to get taken care of as fast as he can.
Pithing Needle from Piper, and I would guess that that's going to name Jace.
You are probably correct.
I mean,
you're a very smart individual.
Hasn't resolved yet. Looks like Belfatto's going to spin the top.
See, the only thing I don't like about Michael's last turn is that he opted to brainstorm.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm surprised he hasn't been on Fate Seal plan the whole time. Like,
yeah,
just
me too.
Fate Seal, Fate Seal, Fate Seal. Like, this game could be over much quicker because Piper doesn't have a way to deal with that Jace, and you know, meanwhile you have a Sensei's top in play that you can help to get more cards. You have fetch lands in play to, you know, give you fresh cards off the top. You know, I don't think you need Jace's Brainstorm as badly as you would if you didn't have top in play. You know?
And there was that window of opportunity that when Piper drew his card off of Sensei's Divining Top to find his Force of Will and remove Energy Field to counter the Temporal Mastery, he had no cards in his hand and top on top of his deck.
Yeah.
If you Fate Seal that away, you know, you're controlling.
You really set him back even further. Yeah.
Now, if the Pithing Needle was the top card after that, which we're not sure of, then it doesn't really matter too much.
Right.
But you get the opportunity to control his draw step for essentially the rest of the game, and I'm surprised that he didn't take that opportunity.
So it looks like cracked fetch, Belfatto.
It's either going to be a cracked fetch or it coming back with Crucible Worlds. Couldn't really tell. But one thing I am for sure about is we did see Banishing Stroke earlier in this game. And
Force of Will on
the top.
Piper's top. And so he's dealt with that one. I mean, how many tops are in Piper's deck? It looks like 3.
Okay.
So he still has 2 more.
No, we did see Banishing Stroke in Mike's deck, and he has 2 copies. So the second copy is actually going to take care of the Pithing Needle. And
if he can find it, yeah.
Yeah, and he can still win just with Entreat the Angels as well. So just because Jace is Pithing Needle doesn't mean the game is over or anything.
Yeah.
It just makes it a little bit more difficult.
So Belfatto gets a miraculous Temporal Mastery off the top that finally resolves. That's his 3rd Temporal Mastery.
And he's going to
First 2 did not resolve.
He's going to go ahead and clear his top, and now he's got the great interaction with top and fetch lands every single turn because of Crucible World. So he's always going to get to see, you know, around 6 to 7 cards every turn to be able to find the Entreat the Angels or the Banishing Stroke that he's looking for. While on Piper's side, no cards in hand.
Yeah, no way to fight anything. He's got Jace contained temporarily, but he's going to have a lot of trouble if an Entreat the Angels resolves. And it may be happening right here. No. Okay.
So, Joey, let me ask you this. As Michael's taking his turn and spinning his top and that sort of thing, to me, it looks like Michael's going to win this game.
I agree.
Okay, it slowly but surely, he's going to win this game. If you're in Piper's spot, do you consider conceding this game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I need more time. I know what I'm playing against now. I need time to, you know, to board. I want to adjust my deck so that maybe I can put up a better fight than I'm able to put up in this game. I think he can get an idea that there's that this is Blue-White Miracles, but you know, maybe he just wants some more info. Maybe he's thinking, if his only win condition is Jace, I might have this. You know, maybe he isn't expecting the Entreat, or it wants Michael to show it.
Okay.
You know, that's you know, just some justification for Piper staying in the game at this point.
Okay.
Obviously, Piper's played this deck more than I have, and you know, maybe he has a plan that I'm not seeing. But looking at his list here, it's a slow deck. I mean, it's meant to be slow, and it's meant to win with things like Vendilion Click and pretty much shackles your opponent's creatures. It's a slow deck. It's meant to win, meant to be a pretty big grind. And but this isn't the matchup this deck is built to fight.
It feels to me that I think you'd agree with him. Michael is better set up. Michael's deck is set up to beat Piper's deck, just based on the cards in the deck and the interactions that Michael has. So in a way, and that's going to take care of that. He's found the other banishing stroke. For Piper to win, he's going to have to get a little bit fortunate with the Vendilion Click, maybe resolving and not being dealt with the Trinket Mage getting in its damage, that sort of thing, and some timely counter spells. So, comeback is it feels a little hopeless right now, and I think that playing another game will give him a better opportunity.
Yeah. In the meantime, Banishing Stroke has dealt with that Pithing Needle, and Piper has now cast a Sensei's Divining Cup again. So he found his second one, but that Pithing Needle's gone, and now he's under pressure from Jace again. There's the top from Belfatto.
This is where this deck is just so tough, the Blue-White Miracle deck, because he gets to see so many cards a turn. He only had one Banishing Stroke left in his deck, and he was able to find it through the shuffling of the fetch lands, through Sensei's Divining topping, to finally take care of that Pithing Needle, and he's going to eventually be able to find one of his 3 Entreat the Angels to really, I assume once he finds it, that Piper will concede.
I think that's a reasonable assumption.
That'll probably do him in. And he's going to keep on spinning.
So that Jace with just 3 counters on it. Not Fate Sealing.
I don't think he's used Jace this turn, but I'm not positive. He tapped his mana off. Okay. Top
so there's a top Piper.
I did see a back to basics in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at Mike's mana base, back to basics would be okay here, but I think it would just mostly what it would do. It would just adjust what he's going to do, and he finally does concede. Finally does concede the game. I think. Probably thinking to himself, time is going to be a bit of an issue.
Yeah,
I'm pretty much under a pretty soft lock that I don't think I can get out of. So
yeah, and I think he's certain of what his opponent's playing. I think he can reasonably expect Entreat the Angels. Maybe he was waiting for Belfatto to show it, just to be sure. And maybe since he hadn't shown it yet, and he's like, all right, forget it. I need the time more than I need the information. I'm going to assume you're on it.
Yeah. Now, what does Piper have in his sideboard that's going to, help him out in this matchup? Because game 1 felt practically hopeless.
Yeah. He's got 1 copy of Ulamog.
Really?
Yeah. Ulamog, the Infinite Gyre.
Okay.
Which I think is cool, right? I mean, that deals with a Jace pretty well, right?
That's kind of sweet, actually.
Yeah, I actually like it.
I did not see that when I looked over the first time.
He's got 2 copies of Pithing Needle, so that's 2 additional ones to the one that he had. So that's also a way to deal with Jace. Like, the thing is, we know on the surface, at least from what Piper knows, is that Belfatto's deck wins through Jace or Entreat the Angels. So he's like, all right, need to deal with Jace. I can deal with creatures already, but he may change his situation a little bit so that he can more fight the control deck. But he's got Pithing Needles here for the Jace. He's got Ulamog, which I think is just a cool win condition / answer to Jace. He's got Engineered Explosives.
Okay.
Pretty good against Entreat the Angels, I think. He's got a couple additional copies of Spell Pierce. I think that
you're Googling. You look like you're Googling Meekstone.
I am. I'm like, wait a minute, what was Meekstone? I can remember the artwork, and I'm like, I don't remember what the card does. Okay, creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap. Well, I don't know that that's great, because I think if Entreat the Angels resolves and they swing, they're not going to untap.
Yes.
Because they're just going to be scooped up, because that's going to be the game.
Because you've taken lethal.
Yes. So, that's not the artwork I was thinking of. I was thinking of that artwork, yeah.
Yeah, the very, very old school one.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what does this do? So, I don't think he brings in Meekstone. I don't think he brings in Sower of Temptation. I think we see some Spell Pierces. I think we see Engineered Explosives. I think we see 2 more Pithing Needles and an Ulamog. And even maybe Echoing Truth.
Echoing Truth is a nice momentary way to be able to deal with Jace.
Right. It's also not bad to deal with the angel tokens.
Oh, that's true too.
You know, he does have one main and one board, so I think he has kind of a good amount of cards that he could bring in. 2 Needles, Echoing Truth, Ulamog, Explosives, 2 Spell Pierces, so that's 7 cards he can bring in, where he can take out things like Vidalkin Shackles. There's 3 of those. I don't know how good Devastation Tide is. It didn't seem impressive there.
I was not impressed.
But it still could be really good, again, against Entreat the Angels. You know, if that's the way Michael's going to win. Devastation Tide fights both of Michael's win conditions, even though it only temporarily fights Jace.
Sure.
But he can cut the Shackles. He can probably cut the back to basics. We saw that's not all that impressive.
I definitely don't love Energy Field here.
Yeah, the energy fields are pretty weak. Yeah, I mean, I think that gives him plenty of room for the 7 cards I mentioned.
I'm looking at Mike's sideboard, and he's already set up pretty well, and looking at his main deck, he's got plenty of cards that he can sideboard out. Humility is really not going to be very good in this matchup. Terminus, you know, Piper has 6 creatures in his deck, 3 Vidalian Clicks and 3 Trinket Mages, so that's not going to be very impressive either. He can leave in 1 or 2, or you can just leave Swords to Plowshare to take care of to take care of his creatures. Looking at what Michael can sideboard in, however, is where things get a little bit interesting, because he has a small Enlightened Tutor package in his sideboard where he can board in Counterbalance. He can board in, if he'd like to, Relic of Progenitus to control the graveyard a little bit. He has 2 Enlightened Tutors in his sideboard to stimulate that package. He also has a Pithing Needle of his own to shut down tops. Another Crucible of Worlds, which was pretty good in that game, and an Oblivion Ring, which is going to be, you know, it's just utility, so a card that he may want in his deck as well.
So, both players off to the races with islands.
I do think... Go ahead.
I was going to say, I can't see their graveyards. Did something happen on turn 1? I believe I saw Piper untap his island.
Nothing that I can see.
Yeah, I mean, we can't see Piper's graveyard because it's under our names. And Belfatto's, I believe, is under his name. So, no idea there. So, there's... Okay, there's a Divining Top, and I don't know how that got in the graveyard, but it may have been pierced.
Okay, I can see
so
that.
Looks like Counterbalance from Piper. Belfatto's going to brainstorm. Thank you, Jeremy. Try to find an answer for that Counterbalance. He goes Force of Will, removing blue card. Didn't see which blue card, but he finds a Force of Will. Now, looks like Piper, is he forcing back?
Yeah, he's going to fight back.
And these guys are playing all sorts of outside the lines. Can't see what they're... I mean, we assume that was Force.
Yeah, it was Force removing a blue card. I'm not entirely sure which one.
Yeah, we can't see what it was. We can only assume it was Force based on the fact that he didn't pay any mana and suddenly he only has 2 cards in his hand.
Yeah.
Okay, so Belfatto was force pitching Brainstorm. Piper was force pitching Spell Snare. Now Belfatto second force pitching something else. And
that's a brainstorming response.
A brainstorming response from Piper. Really wants this Counterbalance in play. And apparently doesn't get it. That was a counter war on turn 3. Both players' hands devastated. Piper with 2 cards, I believe. Michael with 1. Oh, he's got 2. Okay.
Michael's got 2 as well. I'm surprised such a big fight over the Counterbalance, just because if he had a Sensei's Divining Top, that would be one thing. He'd be able to control it a little bit better. But without a top, and you know, just with how mediocre we've decided that Counterbalance is against this deck.
Yeah. Well, it's mediocre against the big threats. It's mediocre against the Miracles and against Jace, because he doesn't have a Jace of his own. He doesn't have a 4-drop, I don't think. I'm looking through the list. I don't see anything that costs 4 except for Sower of Temptation in Piper's 75, and I really doubt he brought in the Sower.
I think if you're going to go to war with your counter spells, I think Jace is the one card that you have to go to fight over with.
I agree. At least that would be my thought process in the match. So, and Piper just draws another Counterbalance and slams it down, and now Michael has Negate.
Oh, I missed those in the sideboard. Actually, he has 2 copies of those.
Oh, okay.
I overlooked that.
Piper counterspells the Negate, and Counterbalance appears to have resolved.
Guess what his last card?
1, 2, 3, 4. Jace the Mind Sculptor. No Sower of Temptation on top.
Yeah.
blind flip. I don't know what he could have been hoping to reveal there. What costs 4 in here?
Yeah, if there's nothing that costs 4, and I'm
Why
looking at the deck
reveal?
list right now as well, yeah, there's absolutely no reason to reveal that card. And now, Michael's actually going to Fate Seal Piper, because he just saw a Brainstorm. He's like, well, I'm going to take that. I'm not going to let you have that.
Yeah. And so that's what he does. And Piper... Did Piper really just top deck Devastation Tide and it was a miracle and didn't cast it? I think he just put it right in his hand.
That is true.
Because that top card was Brainstorm, and when he drew, it was Devastation Tide, I think.
Devastation
Pretty
Tide.
sure.
Devastation Tide would have bounced Jace, and then he could have cast Counterspell on the way back down. I think he just
Yeah, that may have been
he
a
definitely just missed it.
Misplay. You got to be careful when you're playing Miracles to actually look at the card on top before you put it in your hand.
If there was one card that could save him from the situation, he just drew it and just missed the interaction.
Oh, he's got Echoing Truth.
I mean, he does.
I'm not in his hand though.
Yeah, I do agree with you. He does have Echoing Truth, but and I'm sure you've played with Jace. You know the way the Jace works. If he doesn't draw Echoing Truth in a turn or two, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, well now he can
seen
cast
too many cards.
Devastation Tide. Devastation Tide costs 5 non-miracle.
And if he were to cast Devastation Tide that turn, he did pass his turn. It would have had the same effect that it had last game, which is, you know, my turn is Devastation Tide. You pick up your Jace, and then my Belfatto would be like, okay, I'll recast it, and either Fate Seal you or Brainstorm. So it wouldn't have the effect that he wants it to.
So it looks like Fate Seal to the bottom. Now Piper can cast Devastation Tide at end of turn. He
Not quite.
does not.
Sorcery speed only.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's a sorcery. Yeah, I for some reason thought it was instant. That would have been ridiculous, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. That card would see a lot more play if it was instant.
And did he just draw the Dalkin Shackles? I'm surprised he kept those in. Maybe he just kept one in, expecting, you know, maybe some more creatures out of Belfatto for the trying to next level Belfatto, maybe. You know, like, okay, Belfatto's gonna go, all right, I'm bringing in creatures now because you know, my opponent thinks that I don't have any or didn't see any. I'm gonna bring them in, so when he boards out all his removal, he has no way to deal with these. So maybe Piper's like, all right, I'm gonna bring in, or I'm gonna keep in Vidalcan Shackles.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I could see that line of thought. And now Michael's going to do what we thought he was going to do last game, which is he's just going to uptick Jace.
Yeah, so
He's gonna
Jace is
control
now on 9 counters.
He's just going to control his draw step the entire game, and there aren't a ton of relevant cards for Piper to even draw in his deck to get out of this situation. So, like I was saying earlier, Jace, if you let it sit and play for, you know, 1 to 3 turns, it can just be too late. And if he draws a Temporal Mastery here at some point,
yeah, it could be it. Yeah. So Piper, I think, is trying to build up to 7 so that he can Devastation Tide and with Counterspell backup. I think he has 6 lands in play. I think there may be an island under his name up there. Michael looking at the top, which makes me think that it's not a land.
yeah, it makes me think that it's probably
He's thinking
one
about
of the
it.
relevant spells. It's a Spell Snare? Okay.
Okay.
So he's taking a look at a Spell Snare. He has a Counterbalance of his own. That's a fun little sub game where he may have looked at it too, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll leave that there. That's fine."
Counterspell from Piper.
I'm sure Mike is perfectly fine with that.
Why wouldn't Piper reveal just so he could see what card was on top? Not like it really matters, I guess, but
I mean, if it's free information, he might as well take it.
right. I mean, it was information Michael knew.
Yeah. What if
Michael
it
knew it was on
wasn't
top.
too?
Yeah, I know. It was like the next level. Like, wait, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He just left a 2 on top. I don't know. It, like you said, free information, maybe not even worthwhile. Michael draws for the turn, checks for a miracle, not a miracle. Jace ticks up past his, I believe it's going to be up to 13 there.
Yeah, it's going to be up to 13. He was looking for the 7 on the 6-sider.
Yeah.
A common mistake I make a lot.
Like, all right, 5, 7. Where's the 7 on this thing?
Now, what it looks like to me is going to happen is it's going to be a Desperation Devastation Tide.
Yeah, Desperation Tide, really.
Yeah.
And,
It just shows how powerful Jace is. It's just The card's incredible. It doesn't surprise me that it was banned in Standard. It's just such a good card.
I mean, it's great when it just sits there, when
course.
when you're not unmolested, Jace is gonna work. You know what I mean? You could have Luminarch Ascension and it would do that too. You know what I mean? So there's Devastation Tide. And Counterspell.
Reveal for Counterbalance.
Reveal for Counterbalance. It is a 3, not a 2.
Trinketing.
Spell Snare.
Spell Snare is his counterspell.
And now Michael can't cancel the Devastation Tide, because we know Trinket Mage is on top.
Yeah,
we also know
true.
Michael's not going to cancel because he doesn't play cancel.
That's
but,
true.
Know, just saying. Just saying. Dismiss. Actually, Dismiss cost 4, didn't it?
No complicates here. No. He could cycle no, he has a land up there. He couldn't even cycle complicate. So basically, what's happened now is that all the work that Michael did, he's just going to have to do again with Jace.
Yep.
Maybe this first go around is a brainstorm. Maybe it is, and depending on what Michael's hand is, I don't think I love him brainstorming here because we know he has a Pithing Needle in his deck. So he should probably put that Trinket Mage straight to the bottom, so that we don't have to worry about the Pithing Needle sub game. But if he has a way to deal with it, then it doesn't matter.
And Force of Will flips his entire land.
Yeah, he accidentally shows him a Force of Will, saying, "I dare you to cast that Trinket Mage."
Yeah. Whoops. Sensei's divining top from Belfatto after brainstorming with Jace. And Piper untaps his 6,000 islands. Draws that Trinket Mage. We're going to cast that Trinket Mage? Yes.
Yep.
Trinket Mage. And Michael's like, do I force this Trinket Mage? I think I gotta force this Trinket Mage. Does he have an answer for this force? Do I have a blue card? I don't know if he does, I can't tell. He does, okay.
He
Still don't know what card it was, but it was blue.
Yeah.
So, Force of Will, your Trinket Mage, and Piper says, recast my Counterbalance.
Yep. Well, Michael's gonna clear the top of his deck, get a shuffle in before he does activate top at the end of turn.
What's that? What? Oh, it was Snare that he pitched to Force, thank you.
I mean, he's gonna spin the
Spell
dreidel
Snare.
and just get himself set up for his next draw step before more jacing and more topping takes place. It could be time to find a miracle. I see an entreat. I think he put it. I think he put it. I think he put it as the second card down.
And then he's gonna Fate Seal himself.
May I untap, sir? Spin that one more time. Make sure I did it right.
Let me look again.
There we go.
Oh, he switched it. He put the entreat on top.
Yeah, I put the entreat on top.
Thought better of it. And I think we're going to see some angels.
It's miracle time, baby.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that should be 5 angels, or
should be 4.
4 angels. Sorry.
He's leaving the 1 mana open. This is a Caracas down below that he's leaving up. I guess probably because he may just want to activate top this turn or something like that.
Yeah. Bounce of Endilion click.
Yeah, if he does have that, he can. The 1 mana gives him some options. I mean, he could use a 5th. He could use a 5th angel, but it's not the end of the world if he doesn't have it. So.
Yeah, so 16 power worth of angels. His opponent is at 17. He brainstorms with Jace. Michael Belfatto looks to be in incredible shape here. Piper really missed that window when he didn't miracle the Devastation Tide. Now, maybe we missaw that, but I think that's how it. I think that's what it looked like to me. You know,
yeah, I think
the
we saw it
Devastation
right.
Tide.
We know Piper has Vidalcan Shackles in his hand, and so the Vidalcan Shackles can do some trading of angel. Oh, he has a Sower.
He did bring in
so
Sower.
He did bring in Sower. Okay.
Wow. I'll take that. And so this is interesting. I mean, Piper's done exactly what I did not expect him to do. Keep in Shackles, bring in Sower. So hey, this is obviously different game plan. Now, of course, we have the deck lists. Maybe Piper doesn't know. Well, we know Piper doesn't know exactly what's in Belfatto's list, so he could have boarded differently just because of different information.
The sower, unfortunately, is only going to be a momentary reprieve. You know, looking at Jace the Mind Sculptor, it's just going to be able to bounce it, put the angel back on his side.
Yep.
And get in for 12. And I know that Michael put Entreat on top of the deck again.
Oh, geez. A second Entreat.
And he used the full amount this time to get more angels. And
yeah, Piper's empty-handed.
Yeah, and I promise you, there is no spell in Piper's deck that's going to be able to counter that. So,
Echoing Truth would be pretty good.
Echoing Truth will save him right now.
And Jace is going to bounce the sower, and now Belfatto in for 12. Now Piper, that Vendalken Shackles is going to do very little.
Yeah, it's not going to do quite enough.
There are only 2 Echoing Truths in Piper's 75. One in the main, one on the board. Assuming he brought the second one in. It's an island.
It's an island.
And that's it.
Do it.
So Michael Belfatto, we see him win yet again on camera. He is not lost on camera this weekend.
He's loving being in the tent tonight.
Yeah. He sits in that same spot with his Chicago Reds jersey on.
Yeah, Chicago Reds.
Chicago Reds.
Yep, Chicago.
Yeah.
Mike Belfatto wins 2